Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to a brand new episode of a football discussion, our new series on the 90th minute. Go check out our last one with Big Pav. It's, in their videos, link can be in the description and whatnot. But today we brought on Justin Andre, a friend of ours from TikTok. Before we get into the video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Most importantly, hit that like button, subscribe. It helps out so much, especially if you're new to the channel. And yeah, let's go have a nice discussion with Justin Andre. Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the 90th Minute brings on a guest. So basically, we've got a football discussion with Justin Andre, a friend of ours from TikTok. Justin, how's it going?
What's up, guys? It's going great, bro. Feeling good. How about you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Justin, first of all, I'll just start off by just telling us who you are.
Yeah, I'm basically Justin. We're all in the TikTok community. I started doing football on the TikTok community. I also do it on YouTube. I do a lot of Arsenal reviews, and I just love football, man. I love talking about it.
Yeah, all his links will be in the description. I know when we started doing TikTok as well, I think Justin, you were like one of the first guys on my For You page for like football related content. You, Kevin Acosta, and then I think Pav started coming on later as well. So nice community we have on there, I guess.
Right.
My first question would have to be, how'd you get into football though?
Well, it's actually a funny story. So, like being here in the United States, for me, it was very limited exposure to anything football. Like it was crazy. The only reason I really got into it was because my grandfather, he actually supports Sporting over in Portugal, and I would watch the games with him. And then after that, I just kept following Sporting. And then eventually I followed Arsenal was when they started airing games on ESPN. I was a big like sports fan, and I started watching ESPN, and it just clicked with me. That's my club.
No, that's perfect. Cause yeah, you say like how there's limited exposure in the U.S. when you started watching. It's kind of the same thing here in Canada. Cause a lot of people ask us, why don't you support local? Well, we don't really have many local clubs here actually, or when we started watching.
Right.
So yeah, I guess let's start with Arsenal. How are you feeling about Arsenal's recent form?
It is so unpredictable, and it's so Arsenal. I mean, you go beating the champions Liverpool to then beating like Pep Guardiola's like $300 million side to then losing to Aston Villa. I mean, it's so typical of us. I'd say what it does show is that the tools are there in Mikel Arteta that he can guarantee us success. But I think what he needs is the backing in the transfer market, because you see what happens then. Go to a team like Aston Villa, and a lot of the players let him down. I mean, there was a point in that Aston Villa game where there was two defenders on the pitch. Like he literally threw everything at it, and still could not get it done. So I think if anything, what this form shows is that he needs the backing to get better players.
Yeah, because from what I've noticed, I mean, Arsenal necessarily has been playing bad. I thought their form has been good, aside from the two maybe sloppy performances at the start of the restart. I mean, David Luiz's red card, unfortunately, that City game. But after that, it seems like things were kind of up. You guys drew Leicester, but due to an unfortunate red card. But other than that, I've kind of liked what I've seen from Arteta and Arsenal. Even before the restart, before COVID, I thought Arsenal were looking good under Arteta. I like what he's kind of brought, the philosophies he's brought to the club. But kind of let's maybe talk about the Aston Villa result. How did you feel about that? What faults did you see from Arsenal?
I mean, personally, I didn't care much of the game because it's the league and how bad it's been. It's just like I wasn't expecting much from it, but it still does infuriate me simply because I mean it's the relegation candidates. No disrespect to Aston Villa, because I actually like them a lot as a club, but the relegation candidates, and we have Aubameyang, Nicolas Pepe, we have Lacazette, and we can't manage a single shot on target. A lot of those players sometimes have to look at themselves. I mean, even Aubameyang at one point, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a point where he's in the box and he's marking Tyrone Mings, and Tyrone Mings is talking to him, and he distracts Aubameyang. Aubameyang smiles, and then Mings actually gets free of Aubameyang and gets a header on, and that's how Trezeguet scores. So
I didn't notice that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So some of the players need to look at themselves and say, what does it mean to play for this? I feel like I sound like the support your local people when I say that.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. But I truly mean that, because you look at it and it's just not acceptable for a team of Arsenal's quality to be having zero shots on target against it. It's just not where it should be.
No, I thought. I mean, I thought like at first when I saw the goal, I thought it was like kind of just a. It was a good corner from Aston Villa.
Right.
I thought it was a good set piece. It was a good volley from Trezeguet. But the Arsenal, I mean, they should have picked him up or blocked the shot. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, those results happen in football. I
Of
mean,
course.
you see United currently they just drew West Ham from when we just started recording. So it happens to these kind of bigger clubs. And Aston
Right.
Villa are currently they're fighting to stay alive. I think the pressure's more so on them more than anything. Arsenal, I mean, it's fair to say they're resting their players. I think, I didn't see necessarily the
I
full lineup.
I would say so. I mean, the
Yeah,
lineup was strange from Arteta. Definitely wasn't the preferred lineup that he usually puts out. So I would say resting.
I think he's more focused right now on the FA Cup because I mean, right now the league is kind of not much there for Arsenal right now. So the FA
Right.
Cup, at least you have a trophy on the line. How do you feel going into the FA Cup?
Oh, it's so stressful, man. I mean, on one angle, it's like, okay, this is one of our worst seasons, if not the worst season in like 20 years, and still yet we have a chance of winning silverware. So that's the positive. But then it's also the fact that we have to face Chelsea, and like similar to last season, we needed to beat Chelsea in the Europa League final to get Champions League. Well, this time we have to beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final to get Europa League, and it's not just the fact of playing in the Europa League; it's all the financial benefits that comes with that. And there's a lot on the line, and it makes me nervous because we saw what happened in Baku, and we see how the players let us down. And is that going to happen again? Which Arsenal is going to show up? That's what worries me. So I don't want to say I'm overly confident about it. I mean, when you're in a final, all the form goes out the window, and
Hmm.
it's who's the better team on the day. But
True.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm fully have confidence in the boys.
Okay, because I'll be honest, I'm kind of looking at it from an unbiased point of view. Like I said in our podcast on Monday, I was like, look, I respect Chelsea. I respect them as a club. When United lost to them, I blamed our team, not Chelsea. Chelsea beat us. They're the better team. So I do kind of feel like Arsenal might have a slight edge, but they're so unpredictable. But
Yeah, I
go
was going
ahead.
to say I definitely see that. I mean, don't get, when I look at Chelsea, what really worries me is honestly Giroud, because we have a weakness when it comes to set plays, corner kicks, and we have an aerial threat like Giroud that could just bully our defense, which could be a problem. But other than that, other than the midfield, they have Kovacic too, which is a good player. But the defense is definitely shaky, and if they play, if you notice, in the past two defeats, victories we had against Liverpool and Man City, that we didn't create a lot of chances, but what we did do is counterattack very well. And that's where we got a lot of our goals. So it depends how Chelsea plays into our hands. Like, are they gonna do the majority of attacking? Because if so, I mean, Aubameyang, Nicholas Pepe, and Lacazette running at the defense. I mean, I have faith in them.
I think what kind of I don't know. Right now, I just think I really like what I've seen from Arteta. I think his philosophy can really just kind of give them the edge in the final and kind of see a different Arsenal in finals because Arsenal in finals is kind of tricky. You never know, right? Like we said.
Yeah,
So
right.
I think Arteta's experience and once again philosophy can help them a lot in this final. Hopefully, it'll be a closer final.
I hope
So
so. I
yeah,
hope so.
but I guess how have you liked Arteta's tenure so far?
I'm a big fan of it. I mean, obviously, it's had its lows and its
Mm,
highs, but I think the mentality that he has is what this club needs. It's an elite mentality. He's not going to take freeloaders. He wants people who are 100% committed to the team, which is a problem we've had in the past. It's just teams come here and they think they can just mess around. It's very laissez-faire. I think he wants a serious mentality, and I think he has a clear vision of what modern tactics are. I mean, the thing that sucks is he is learning on the job. He is very intelligent and very experienced, but he is still doing some learning himself. But I think if he is backed, I think he's the man to take us forward. It's just if he's not though, that's when things run into problems.
it's the same thing with kind of Solskjaer. He's kind of learning on the job because he's had some downs at like Cardiff. Apparently, he did well at Molde, the one club he took over. But yeah, like I said, learning on the job. But it's just nice to have a manager that understands the club. I guess
Yeah,
in a sense. I think
I
maybe.
definitely agree. As I say, I definitely agree with that because when Unai Emery came in, it was it was almost like not that he didn't care about the club, but it just didn't have the values of the club, and he just kind of it just wasn't a clear vision. Like
Hmm.
on the pitch, it'd be struggles, and then in the press conference, it would be just utter nonsense. Like it would be have nothing to do with
Yeah.
what happened in the game, and it frustrated people. But with Solskjaer, I've seen too, and Arteta, it's like they know how to speak to the fans, and even when things are going wrong, like they know, like listen, this was what's wrong, and we're gonna get this better. And that's what I really like about both of them. Honestly.
Same with Frank Lampard. I mean, the way this something I've noticed is that sure that supporters might like are frustrated with some of the performance results they're getting from their managers, but the thing I've noticed is that the players they love their managers right now. Like I think most of United's players are happy playing under Solskjaer. Like the players are enjoying playing under Solskjaer. Pogba's smiling for once in a United kit. So I guess I've noticed the same thing with Arsenal. Aubameyang's performing, Lacazette's somewhat performing. The young players.
Right.
Let's talk about the young players in Arsenal. How have you liked them so far?
Oh, I love it. I'm a big admirer of Ajax. So like I love how they have that youth system and they create such talented ballers. And I love how we kind of have the similar thing here at Arsenal where we have a lot of talented Hale end products that are coming through the first team. Um, I I just love it because they know what it means to play for Arsenal because they give their all on the field, and that's what I really like. I think the team would be better with the youngsters because I think we can't rely too much on them. I think we need experience in there so that it balances out, and like youngsters can learn from the elders, and the elders can get some energy from the youngsters. I think that's what we need to implement. But I love them. I really do. I'm a big supporter
Yeah,
of them.
no, I mean, I think Saka has been really a shining star, right? I've liked what I've seen him. He's very versatile. He can play on both ends of the pitch. How about another star, a young star, Martinelli? Now,
Yes.
I'll admit I haven't seen a lot of him, but what can you kind of tell us about him?
The kid's mentality is elite. I'll tell you
Mm.
that. I mean, he actually had a trial with Man United.
I think so.
Actually,
Yeah,
funny enough.
I heard
Yeah,
about that.
but he came from Ituano. I think that's what the third or fourth division of Brazil. I'm not sure. It's a team
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Brazil. But he came here, and it's like you wouldn't even know he was from the fourth division of Brazil. I mean, he comes here, he has elite mentality. Over quarantine, he's gotten jacked. Like
Hmm.
he came over as a teenager. His physicality wasn't to Premier League standards, but I'd say now, looking at the photos and the training, he's bulked up. I mean, the kid wants to go straight to the top, and I think with that mentality, it's similar to Ronaldo. Not to say I'm not
I
comparing
know, of
like their
course. No, that's
ability,
fine. Yeah, no, no.
yeah, but more in the sense like their mentality, like he
The
is
work
just
ethic.
willing to work. Yeah, he's willing to work harder than anybody, which I
Okay.
really admire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean, like, sure, like all the hype is around Sock the one, but I always hear about Martinelli. Martinelli. I think we haven't really seen it maybe this season from him. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's just based down to injuries, right?
yeah. I think before coronavirus, he was definitely performing. I think he was probably one of the hottest youngsters because he was
Mm.
scoring a bunch of goals in I think the FA Cup and
Yeah,
even
cup
some in the Europa
matches.
League.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then obviously the injury happened, coronavirus happened, so the hype is kind of sizzled down on him.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be back till the end of the year. Actually,
Yeah,
he's
that's
got a
what I
pretty
heard.
nasty knee injury. But I'm very excited for him. I mean, he's going to be an elite player.
So what other young players from Arsenal should people start paying a little bit more attention to? I think.
One of them is Emil Smith Rowe. He's actually not even at the club right now. He's at Huddersfield, but he is a proper baller. I mean, he is an attacking midfielder, and he is actually the one reason why Leeds got promoted the last day because he scored a goal against West Brom to actually set him through. Um, he's an exciting talent. I mean, he was with us last season. He scored a couple goals in the Europa League. Um, he is a good attacking midfielder, and I think that's something we're lacking at the moment right now. I know we have Ozil, but um, I know Arteta's not very keen on him. But
Yeah.
definitely Emil Smith Rowe. I think another one, actually two in the junior gunners that it's not even in the first team yet. Is there's a player called Florin Balogun. He's the top scorer in the youth Premier
Huh.
League, and I'm a little nervous because there's talks that he's going to leave the club because he doesn't want to sign a new contract. But if we can promote him, I mean, you see what Eddie Nketiah is doing, and I love Eddie, but Balogun is on like a different level. He's a lethal striker. And then you have someone called Miguel Aziz. He is definitely a very creative midfielder, top midfielder. He's doing really well in the youth Premier League.
No, that's good to hear because I've liked Nketiah personally. What I've seen since the restart, I think he's an exciting attacking forward. So that's good to know. There's more youngsters coming through the youth ranks.
Yeah,
But one youth player from Arsenal right now, it's not really had a good season. Is Guendouzi, who's looking to leave. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. for me because I'm always finding myself being torn in two different directions because I like his fieriness, right? I mean, he is a player that we want. He's got bite. He's got that backbone. But then at times that same fieriness is what's getting him in trouble. I mean, Arteta clearly has discipline issues with him. He's he was what was he doing? He was at a team dinner in I think it was Dubai, and he was being disrespectful, whipping his shirt off, being crazy. I think he got into a fight with Socrates in training at that same camp. After the Brighton game, he just wanted to apologize, and he wouldn't apologize for the comments he made. So obviously his attitude's a problem. Arteta wants players who are going to be willing to work for the team and be disciplined. There's like values we have at the club. So at the same time, it's like as much as I love him, if Arteta doesn't see him, then I see him in the team, then he needs to go.
No, I agree. You don't want anyone who's kind of hot-headed in your club. You want them to have a level-headed attitude. It's unfortunate because I liked watching from Arsenal as well. Like, I mean, especially in his breakout season, I liked the way he was moving the ball. I thought, wow, this kid's gonna be a bright star. He's gonna have a great future. And it's a shame that his attitude's harming his career. I think we've seen in the past with I think a prime example I know was Ravel Morrison at United. He had attitude issues, and Rio Ferdinand even said this kid has everything to be a star, and apparently his attitude just killed his career, right?
It's such a shame to see that because there's so many. I mean, Hatem Ben Arfa is another one that was great talent wise, and that his attitude killed his career too. He's young. Maybe he can turn it around, but he had problems with this back at Lorient too. And from where he came from, he got kicked off the team for 3 months. He got sent to the reserves. Yeah, so it's the same thing. So it's a continuing problem. It just depends whether he's willing to change or not.
Well, let's talk about another polarizing player at Arsenal. You did mention his name, Ozil. What are your thoughts on that situation right now?
I kind of try to look at two lenses when I think about these things. Ozil, I mean, I'm not going to blame him for collecting 350K a week. I mean, that's the contract that the club put him out in front of him, and he's a footballer, and that's his contract. He was contracted to have those years as a footballer, and he's supposed to be paid that. But at the same time, I mean, there's rumors going around that he showed up back from restart like incredibly unfit, like so unfit that Arteta was very shocked. I mean, he had a kid, he got married, but he was very unfit, and Arteta was very upset with that. And I think he has to earn his way back in. I think that's why we haven't seen him, because he was featuring a lot under Arteta before coronavirus break, but afterwards he's been a ghost. I mean, he hasn't even been part of the squad. So we'll have to see. I mean, I think if it was up to me and I was a manager, I'd want him to move him on. I mean, he's a class midfielder. He was at one point one of my favorite players, but I think the system that Arteta's trying to run, I don't know if he fits in there anymore. I don't know. I mean, it's up to the manager to find out, but it's just so controversial figure. There's fighting between the fan base. He's collecting an unhealthy wage to sit just on the bench and sit at home. 350K a week. I think that's like 18 million a year around. Way too much to just be spending on a player that doesn't play. So I think time to move him on.
Yeah, I think maybe it's possible all the negativity surrounding Ozil over the last couple of months and years has maybe just affected his mental state, and then maybe he's just not motivated to play at that level anymore. It's hard to say, right?
Right. Yeah.
He's had issues off the pitch, even with the national team. There was politics there, so I think a lot of things might have just affected him mentally, which harmed his on-the-field performance because he was magical, right, in his prime years. And
my goodness,
Arsenal had him in his prime years. He could easily stayed at Real Madrid and won a couple Champions Leagues, and he went to Arsenal, right? So,
of course, yeah. I appreciate his services, and there's times that I back him too, because there's times where the club is a little bit hypocritical with Ozil, because there was the one time where he was trying to back a political message against Muslims in China, and the club distanced themselves from that, said we have nothing to do about that, but then they go back another political movement, and then there's one thing where the club is asking the players to take a wage cut, but Ozil is asking, well, what are these wage cuts going to go towards? I mean, he donates a lot to charity. That's one thing I can say about him. So it's more. I think there's a lot more going behind the scenes with the board and him more than just the football itself as well.
Exactly, and then when that happens, the on-field performance likely do kind of take a hit. Unfortunately, I think, and a lot of people don't think about that. So it's good to stay open-minded about that stuff.
Of course, yeah. I think you're right when you said that people don't think about it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, footballers are humans too. I
Yeah.
know, I know they're elite athletes and they're trained to think, elite mentality, but they're humans too. Things bother them.
So right now, I guess with Arsenal, who do you think needs to go at the moment?
Um, it's a tough question because it also depends who we get in. But if we're gonna get backing and we're gonna have to sell people to raise transfers, I think Kolasinac is one. I mean, he came on a free, but he was all right the first season, but after that, he's really struggling to find anything good about him. I mean, he really struggles with crossing. He really struggles with passing at the back. I mean, he's good at his physical state. He's very physical. Who else I would see? I mean, if we can get some other center backs, probably sell Socrates.
Hmm.
He doesn't seem like he's in favor with Arteta. He doesn't seem like he's comfortable on the ball. I think he's someone we should move on. He's also getting a little bit older as well. Um, then there's in the midfield. I mean, we actually need more midfield players. It depends. I really don't want to get let go of Lacazette, and this is why I said it depends what the situation is. Because if we don't make it into Europe and we don't get funds necessary from European football, it might be a case where we might have to sell a player like Lacazette to get funds to actually increase the quality of our squad.
Right. Another player, do you think? What about David Luiz? 'Cause he's not played terribly recently. I mean, aside from that red card, that whole fiasco, he's actually kind of improved, which is nice to see. But he's also a very polarizing figure.
Yeah, like yeah, he makes me want to tear my hair out sometimes. But uh, I understand why the club gave him another year contract. It's because of how he is off the pitch as well. He's a real leader.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of the younger players that are talking and saying that he's like a father figure to him, that he's like a real leader in that dressing room, which is important to have as well. And then also, I think depending on the system, like back three, like you're saying, he's been playing well recently. He has, and I think it's more comfortable for him because he doesn't have to worry too much about covering spaces out wide. It's more just what's in front of him, and I think that does suit him because he is a quality player at the end of the day. As much as he does mess up, he is still an elite center back who's won many trophies, and I think people also forget about that sometimes.
Like I've been very critical about David Luiz. Like, I mean, I've kind of slagged the guy off a lot, even since the 2014 World Cup. I've never been a big fan of him, but there's a reason why he's playing for elite top level clubs. There's a reason why he's winning, Premier Leagues and big trophies. So he is a good center back. He's a good player. I personally don't like the way he plays his position.
I know.
But I don't know. He's an interesting character in football. But
He really is.
a lot of times on our podcast, we've kind of said, Arsenal. We've said Arsenal have lacked leaders. It's good that you bring that up, that they do have a leader in David Luiz. I guess since we're not all Arsenal sports, we don't notice those things. So,
Right.
do you think, what other leaders do you think Arsenal right now have, or is it just David Luiz?
Oh, no, David Luiz is one of them, but I also think Granit Xhaka, as ironic as that is one of, if not the leader at Arsenal. I mean, without Xhaka on the pitch, just footballing wise, we struggle. But also that mentality he has is it's crazy because he ripped off the armband, and that doesn't seem like a captain mentality. It doesn't seem like you would throw the captaincy and just say "f you" to the fans. But he's redeemed himself in the sense that he really does bring the team together. You see on the pitch, he's yelling commands, he's telling players to get in position, he's really organizing that midfield, and he is somebody that honestly I think he deserves the captaincy more than Alba. I love Alba, but I don't think the the amount of leadership Shaka has and the amount of leadership that Alba has, I think is unmatched. I think Shaka wins that all day. Not to say Alba isn't a leader because he's an experienced veteran in football and players look up to him, but I think Shaka definitely has the captain mentality. As ironic as that is.
No, that's perfect. I think, yeah, Xhaka, of course. He was another. Arsenal have a lot of polarizing figures. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know.
But
Tell me
I
about
mean,
it.
Xhaka is he's got experience. He's improved his game, which is good. He's turned around. I mean, all signs are positive for Xhaka right now, which is great because he also had a bit of a breakdown because of the supporters always hating on him and his performances. So it's good to see he turn it around. Who do you think Arsenal should bring in at the moment then?
Yeah, well, it depends on our
Yeah.
situation as well. But I say best case scenario, we need a center back because I think a lot of people are looking at Saliba and saying, well, we have the Mbappe of center backs. And that might be true, but I think it's a lot of pressure to put an entire defense solely on an 18-year-old. I think we can't just rely on him. I know we have David Luiz. I think someone like Upamecano would be a good option for Arsenal. I think we've also been kind of trying to test the waters with that deal. That would be my first importance. The second is an attacking midfielder, and I know we have Ozil, but we need a modern attacking midfielder because Ozil is a traditional 10, but we need someone more like Kevin De Bruyne, somebody who is willing to attack but also willing to come back and defend and press. And I think someone like Dominic Szoboszlai from Salzburg would be a great option. He's young. He's I believe 19 or 20, but he's really popping off in Salzburg as of late. So I think he would be a great option for us. Maybe a budget wise, if we don't have enough money, depending on what our situation is. I think Buendia from Norwich would also be a pretty decent name to get into the team. I've seen a lot of good things from Norwich, even though they are getting relegated. They do have some gems in that team. And then it's tough to say because it depends what happens with Lacazette and Alba. Is Alba going to sign the contract? Is he not? Is Lacazette going to leave for funds? I'm not sure. Maybe potentially getting in another forward. I've heard talks about Memphis Depay. I know he struggled in the with Manchester United, but he seems to be like a reformed player.
No, he definitely has reformed at Lyon. I like what I've seen from him, especially. There's a lot of players who've left United who've kind of reformed their careers. It's interesting.
Right.
But I don't know. If we're just shooting shots at players we'd like to see at Arsenal, I would like to see maybe Julian Brandt, like you're saying, at Cam. I don't know if he leave Dortmund because Champions League football, but when I've seen him play for Dortmund, he's really made that tactic, and I think he's been more crucial than Haaland at times, which everyone's like on the Haaland bandwagon, but Julian Brandt's someone that's shined a lot for Dortmund, so if they can bring someone like him in, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, he's quality. I mean, I'd love to, but like you said, the Champions League football is that big asterisk. I also forgot to mention Thomas Partey. I know that's probably like one of our top prospects. It's interesting because like Arsenal is a big club, but it feels so weird because we're not going to have potentially any European football. So it's like, are we going to have that pulling power? I don't know.
He'd be a huge sign. You never know if he'd just want to come and play in the Premier League, right? Something a change of. But right now, Atletico Madrid has also been in good form. They're going to make a good run in the Champions League, I think. With Barca's kind of slight downfall, Atletico Madrid might look at that as an opening to maybe push for the league. So he might want to stay there, try to win a title. I mean, Partey, I've loved what I've seen from him. I think he's a great. I don't know if I'd call him a box-to-box midfielder, but he's defensive as well, right?
Yeah. So he's a little bit of both, yeah.
So with some midfielders like that, it's hard to classify them as one sort of type of midfielder when they can play multiple roles, right?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I guess outside of Arsenal, let's talk about what are your thoughts on the Premier League currently then?
This has been one of the craziest seasons, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, not only just excluding the coronavirus, I mean, the amount of teams that have surprised and overperformed this season is insane. I mean, who would have thought that Leicester would have been second place for most of the season? Who would have thought that teams like Sheffield would even be near Champions League this season? You also have teams like Wolves that are challenging. It's incredible, honestly.
Even Burnley's up there, surprisingly.
Exactly, yeah. And then you have teams like Southampton is a team that interests me because it seemed like they were going to fire their manager after that 9-0 defeat, and all of a sudden he turned it around and they're actually performing pretty decent as of late.
It's actually, I think, been the most unpredictable Premier League season I've seen in a while.
I would agree.
You're seeing Man City absolutely destroy teams, and then they'll go ahead and lose to like, what is Southampton? I think they lost to Arsenal.
Norwich.
So it's so strange. Even with Liverpool at times, every time United are on the cusp of breaking into the top four, they draw or lose, and it's like, this is a headache. And it's been a wild season. I think it's been absolutely unpredictable unless you're a Norwich supporter.
Yeah. I mean, it was from the get-go. I mean, I heard him talking about playing expansive open football, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go.
No, and there's been a lot of shining stars breaking through. I've liked what I've seen from Jack Grealish, Adama Traore, Danny Ings. So we're coming to the final match day. What do you think is gonna happen?
As in terms of who's gonna get like promoted and relegated?
Yeah, like, do you see anything? Because who do you see getting the Champions League football? Because United need to beat Leicester
Yeah.
now. What do you see what's going to happen here?
Uh, I I'm not too sure about what the points are. So if you beat Leicester, are you gonna go automatically into Champions League, or does it
We
involve Chelsea losing a game?
No, I think we would jump into fourth. I'm pretty sure, and Chelsea would get third. So
I think you
it's like
guys.
we're tied on points at the moment.
I got you. I think you guys have a chance of beating Leicester because of how poor they've been this season.
Hmm.
It's well, not this season, but after the restart,
Yeah.
they've been extremely poor. So I could see United getting in there. It depends what kind of game that is.
Okay. Oh, I just stop you right there. So I just took a look at the standings. So right now, as it is, United are sitting in third with 63 points. Chelsea are fourth with 63. Leicester in fifth with 62.
Huh.
So
And
I think it's come down to goal differential.
wow.
Yeah.
I would then say that Chelsea and Man United are going to get Champions League. I can't see Leicester managing a result. I mean, they have seriously been poor this season. Like, not I keep on saying this season after the restart. They've seriously been
Yeah.
poor after the restart.
No, agreed.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I thought Sheffield kind of looked rocky when they restarted, but they picked it up. But
mm,
Leicester, especially, they've
right,
got maybe one or two results here, but other than that, it's been very strange performance.
exactly. I hope Sheffield can get into Europa League. I mean, that would be
Yeah,
amazing
that'd be
achievement if they
nice.
could.
Um,
Um, I definitely think Bournemouth, unfortunately, is going down, and I think
hmm.
maybe Watford as well.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely come down to the final match day because I know
Mm,
West Ham play Aston Villa.
mhm.
And right now, as we speak, West Ham have 38 points, Brighton 38, Villa 34, Watford 34. So some big matches coming up. Arsenal take on Watford. Arsenal could realistically relegate Watford.
Well, we also might give him a gift as well. I mean, we'd
Yeah,
love to give.
that's actually very true. You never know. So I think Watford's gonna really look at that Aston Villa result, say, hey, maybe we can actually beat Arsenal. So
Yeah.
um, aside from let's step aside from the Premier League, step outside. Champions League, do you have a favorite right now in there?
Yeah, I think for me it's Bayern Munich.
Hmm.
Um, I've seen them this season. I see the form that Lewandowski is. Although he hasn't been the greatest in Champions Leagues at time,
Hmm.
I he's been unreal this season. And Bayern in general have been unreal this season. I think they have a legitimate shot at it.
No, I agree. I think everyone I've talked to has said Bayern's gonna win it. It's just they've kind of had this break from football while everyone else is playing, so it's either gonna be a disadvantage or an advantage. I don't know. Lewandowski in Champions League, he's always been interesting. I'm a huge Robert Lewandowski fan. I'll admit he hasn't necessarily stepped up in like the bigger matches. That's also because Bayern always slow down when it comes to the semis. I've noticed he hasn't really scored in a semifinal. I can't remember since like 2013. So I'm just gonna see what Bayern can do if they can actually be the Titans of Europe again. This is a
I'd
perfect
like to see
time.
him.
Yeah, Barca are not gonna likely win in my opinion, but
No,
um,
I don't think so as well. They're
uh,
they're really struggling at the
yeah,
moment.
I don't know.
Like
Have you paid enough attention to Barca? Do you have any thoughts on that situation?
yeah, the whole situation. I'm not super into it, but I've definitely heard enough of it to make an opinion on it. Uh, it's a mess. I mean, the board seems to really be destroying that club
Hmm.
because they're struggling with performances on the field. Um, and Messi, the number literally their entire club, Messi. I mean,
Yeah,
he well, as of right now, I mean, he's the star of it. He's basically like the president in one way.
yeah.
Is very unhappy at the moment, and that has an effect on the players in the dressing room as well. I mean, if Messi leaves, I would argue he's been carrying that team this season
Oh
greatly.
no, no, definitely both goals and assists. I think he's setting records. It's insane how much he's
Yeah,
carried that team and kept them in second and first.
it's
So
absurd. Yeah, and I've seen him wanting to get rid of young potential players to bring in
hmm.
elder players. I mean, Artur and Pjanic is still a quality
Yeah.
midfielder. Yeah, but like think there was I think there was even rumors. I don't know how true it was, but they wanted to swap some young center back for Socrates and stuff like this. It's like that's not the Barca I remember growing up.
Agreed. I guess let's now move on to international football. I mean, you said you support Portugal. You're big into
Uh,
Portuguese football.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, my grandfather is Portuguese. Both my grandparents. I paid a lot of attention to it. Uh, I've been spoiled a little bit. I mean, we've done well in international tournaments up until 2016, but we never had that final moment where we just take it all home. And obviously, Euro 2016 was just that.
That that would it was kind of hard for me to watch it because you guys beat Poland in the quarterfinals. So, but it is what it is. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. How do you see the future of Portuguese football? I mean, Cristiano is up there in age, but I think it's looking pretty good still.
Oh, of course. And that actually was a worry for me because before we won the Euro 2016, it seemed like the squad was pretty stagnant. There were a lot of players there that weren't that great, and if Ronaldo were to leave, we'd struggle. I mean, we had our João Moutinhos, we had our Pepes, which were good squad members, but then we had strikers like Helder Postiga, which were good domestically, but in the international careers they struggle a little bit. They're a little stagnant. But what I've seen since I think it really started in Euro 2016 because they had Renato Sanchez and a couple of other youngsters. We've seen that there's been a big youth resurgence in Portugal, and I've seen a lot of teams like Benfica have a lot of youngsters, Sporting, Porto, and other teams in the league that really are generating top Portuguese talents. I'm even if Ronaldo leaves, I'm confident that we'll still have a decent national team.
No, especially with the fact that you have Joao Felix, you have Bernardo Silva,
Yeah.
you have Bruno Fernandes now. Question: how do you pronounce Bruno's last name in Portuguese? Because I've
Uh,
heard.
it's Fernandes.
There we
Fernandes.
go. I remember
Yeah.
I made a TikTok and
Yeah.
I tried pronouncing that, and people were like, it's pronounced Fernandez. I'm like, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
so. No,
It's
yeah,
a tough one to say.
it is. I
Yeah.
know Portugal's got some fine talent coming through. I mean, I know at 20 in the year 2016, the bright star was Renato Sanchez. He's had an interesting career so far, going to Bayern, but I think he's finally found form at in France.
Yeah, I agree. I was worried for him because he was another player that did okay for Bayern, not great, and then he
Mm.
really struggled on that loan at Swansea. I mean, I was like, this is not even half the player that was in the Euros.
Mm-hmm.
But at Lille now, I mean, he looks like he's finally finding back his form. He's young as well, so
Mm. Do you see
I'm excited for
Portugal?
that.
Do you see Portugal going deep next Euros?
I certainly think so. I mean, especially what excites me is now we have players in the Premier League as well. You have our Bernardo Silva's, our Bruno Fernandes, especially look at Wolves. I mean, we have Ruben Neves, João Moutinho competing
How
on.
how can we forget
I know,
Wolves?
right? But yeah, I think there's a lot of top Portuguese talent that are playing in a really competitive league. I think we always don't. We're not always on the top of people's lists, but I think we can give people a run for their money. I really do.
And I just want to kind of go back to Euro 2016. Very interesting tournament for Portugal. Of course, you guys won it, but three draws in the group stage, and then you guys get in. What were your thoughts like going through up until the final? Of course, you're excited, but I feel like there was a lot of hate on Portugal just because of the way they were like getting through
Yeah,
rounds.
I mean, I understand. I mean,
Yeah,
it is a little crazy that's the way we want it. I mean, we've got a lot of ties, a lot of draws on penalties and stuff. But for a Portugal sport, I mean, I was just happy to keep advancing.
I think anyone in your position will be happy,
Yeah,
right?
but I am very critical though of the manager of Portugal. Why is his name escaping my name? Um,
Fernando Santos.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fernando Santos. I'm very critical of him because he did win us a Euro. And I'm grateful. It's that, but we. It's not that we weren't convincing, but it seems like a lot of results he makes questionable decisions. I mean, with both tournaments that we have in Euro 2016 and in the World Cup 2018, he likes to change the fullbacks that haven't played at all in the group stages, um, just to switch to the Russia 2018. I mean, a big reason why we lost to Uruguay was because we changed our right back from it was Cedric, I believe, and then we started using Ricardo Pereira, and he made two huge mistakes against Cavani. I'm not saying that's the only reason we lost, but it's coaching little coaching errors like that that make me think like, what is this guy thinking? And I'm still not sold on him. I don't want to say that I want him out yet because I think maybe he's still working his ideas in. but I'm not going to say that I'm sold on.
That's fair. Another question I have about Portuguese football is Mr. Joao Felix. A lot of hype around him. Hasn't really performed to the levels people expect at Atletico. What are your thoughts when it comes to that?
I mean, I think the price tag for 120 million was way too much for him. I think he's an exciting talent. I still think he has hope, but 120 million, way too much, especially for a teenager. And the pressure that puts on him is an issue. I also think the team he's at right now is also a big reason why he's not doing as well. I mean, Atletico is a very well-drilled defensive team, and I think he's still adjusting. I mean, super young. I think this is actually going to be good for him because he is getting that discipline side of his game now. But I think if he went to an attacking team, I think you'd see him doing much better than he is now.
Okay, I like that. It helps that they have a very experienced manager, Atletico Madrid, of course.
Exactly.
Why can't I think of his name right now? Oh my goodness.
Simeone.
This is Simeone. There we go. We had the same moment. I was like, I couldn't remember his name, but yeah, Simeone. He knows how to nurture young players. He's, you see Antoine Griezmann in the past. There's loads of other names I'm probably missing with Atletico, but they consistently perform, and I think he'll be fine. I think I guess another side of international football, US. Do you follow the US at all?
Oh, of course, yeah. I kind of like on both. I'm Portugal and US.
Okay.
When they played in the World Cup, I was so torn which team I wanted.
Okay. So I know on TikTok we recently just got a question actually. What are your thoughts on the future of US football? Now we're Canadian. It's kind of harder to answer that, but so it's perfect to ask that, I guess, for you.
Yeah, for me, I'm confident because I think soccer in this country, football in this country is growing. I think there's a lot of youngsters that would go to play baseball, go to play basketball that are choosing to play soccer now, and I think that's going to be a big improvement. I think there's also going to the national team more specifically. I think there's some good youngsters that are coming through, some young, bright talent that's going through, like Josh Sargent. We have there's a bunch. I think somebody that just joined Bayern. I escaped my name as well.
Weston McKennie.
Weston McKennie. There's of course Pulisic. So I think there's good players coming through, youngsters that we can be hopeful for. I think as a whole, and I think it's similar to in Canada, but the youth system is where I have the problem of U.S. soccer, and I think it's not utilizing the full potential of youth that we could have. I mean, I don't know about you, but where I live, I know that it's not the greatest of income areas, but we have incredible talent. I mean, unreal talent. But just because they can't pay to play on a travel team that's $2,000, then they're never going to get found by the scouts that only look at those specific things. And that's what bothers me, because I think we're missing out on the next, Pulisic, on the next big player in these areas that we're not really keen on looking at, and that's the problem. It's pay to play here, unfortunately.
No, it's the same thing here in Canada. Like, Canada's a little bit behind the US, no doubt about that, but we're also starting to finally see some young stars come through. I mean, Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, the Liam Miller at Liverpool. So it's good to see that both the US and Canada have players come through, which is gonna develop the rivalry even more. Because we've always kind of get dominated by you guys. So, but hey, we finally beat you guys.
I know, right?
It's like, oh my goodness. So, but it's good to see that it's no longer just gonna be US, Mexico, Canada's getting that fold too. So it's good to know that you're hopeful for the future of the US football. I mean, Sergino Dest is a name. I'm pretty sure I pronounced it right. Is a name that always comes up. So have you seen a lot of him or no?
I have. I think I'm over the moon that he chose us instead of the Netherlands. He looks like a serious player for us. I mean, he's learning in Ajax. I mean, there's one of the best education systems you can get as a young footballer. So I mean, having that player at United States is only going to improve the squad because of the mentality he brings, the fire he brings. I mean, proper player.
I mean, he's only been there for I don't know how long he's been at Ajax, but he's already been linked to Barcelona.
I know. I think he literally just joined Ajax, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's pretty crazy. I guess since let's just move aside from all the kind of world football and whatnot. Let's just talk about yourself. What's been your kind of favorite moment as a football fan or Arsenal fan?
That's a good question. I got to think about this one. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, not the typical thing, but one thing as an Arsenal fan that I've absolutely just loved is the goals we scored under the Wenger era. Like the reason why I fell in love with Arsenal was the beautiful goals. I mean, you had the goal against Norwich where it was Jack Wilshere, Santi, Giroud flick,
Hmm.
and then beautiful finish. I mean, there was so many other ones. I mean, there was the Giroud scorpion kick that it just the goals that Arsenal scored, and every time they'd score these brilliant goals, I mean, it just makes you feel good for me. It's just great seeing these beautiful played goals.
Okay, I know I like that's fair. How
Yeah.
about I guess international you're gonna go with the 2016 Euros.
Oh, for sure. I
Would you
was
say it's
actually,
your top moment or
as a football fan,
yeah?
I would have to say so because I mean, knowing my growing up Portuguese and my grandparents and everything, uh, it was just an incredible moment because all my life I've been watching the Portuguese national team. All my life I've been rooting for them, and to see them win, I mean, the way
Mm,
they did it too. I was actually at a soccer camp while it was happening, but they had the screen on the in the room. There's a huge screen, and a lot of the kids were voting for France because Portugal's
yeah,
not the cool thing to vote for. But that the goal with Eder when he screams that, like, oh my god, right into the
yeah.
net. I lost my mind. It was crazy.
Well, I just think it was kind of one of those things where like the stars are aligned because Cristiano had that injury, you had that
Right.
moths like surrounding him. I don't know, it was just like a storybook ending. So
Yeah, I agree.
I as much as I was kind of salty because you guys beat us in quarters. Like I can respect this.
Yeah,
I did predict France to win the Euros that year just because on
yeah,
paper they looked like the best team. They were at home. Everything was in their favor. But
right.
Portugal just said, "Nah, we're gonna write our own story."
Spoiled the show.
No, essentially, yeah. I guess another question I have for you: who's been your favorite footballer then, or do you have one currently?
Yeah, this one's tough because it used to be two main people. I mean, the first one was Cristiano Ronaldo,
Hmm.
obviously because I was Portuguese. The skills he had, the goals he scored, the amount of goals he scored, and being Portuguese, I looked up greatly to him. I mean, I don't even drink or smoke simply because Ronaldo didn't drink or smoke. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was like the impact he had on me
Yeah,
as a Portuguese kid.
awesome.
Um, so he's definitely the person that made me fall in love with football, but the person who made me really appreciate football, the person that I learned the most from was Mesut Ozil, truthfully.
Okay.
I mean, because he looked at the game at such a different way. Like I would watch him play, and he'd pick out passes that I didn't even realize he could pick out. Like the spaces he was picking out was incredible, and the swagger he did it with, I love. He was a joy to watch. I really loved him.
Okay. Any vintage footballers do you think you'd go to as well? Maybe like do you know like Maradona's anything like there? Maybe.
I'd say Johan Cruyff.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
go with the same. Yeah.
yeah, I love him watching him play, the skills he created. I mean, the way he played, but also his football intelligence afterwards as a manager is really impressive. I'm trying to be a coach as well eventually one day, and learning through him and learning through his philosophy is something that's I can't even explain. I mean, it's great.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome to hear. And then I guess another final football question I have is any teams aside from Arsenal that you enjoy watching at the moment?
Yes, there's actually a few. I mean, one thing with me is I just love football in general.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of teams. I specifically like a lot of underdogs. I've watched a lot of Sheffield this season. I am a big fan of Sheffield and how they play and how they're doing it with Chris Wilder. I think he's a brilliant manager. Also, teams like Southampton. I mentioned them before. I'm really impressed with Ralph Rag. I don't even know how to say his name.
Ragnar?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
Uh,
it. Wait, Ralph
what's his name?
Ragnar.
I
Uh,
said, is it Ralph Ragnar?
Here,
I don't think it's Ragnar.
I'll bring up. No, I think Ralph Ragnar. He's linked to AC Milan.
Right. Yeah. That's right. That's who that
Southampton
is.
manager. Oh, Ralph Husenhuntel.
That's what it is.
I butchered the name, but
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
There you go. I knew there was a Ralph in there somewhere. He's really impressed me because he's transformed that Southampton side after that 9-0 loss. I mean, the pressing they have is one of the best in Europe. I've looked at some of the charts, and they're on par with teams close to Liverpool on how aggressive they press. And you see, like how you got the best out of Danny Ings, teams like that. I'm really a big fan of underdogs, honestly.
No, I'm kind of the same way when it comes to underdogs. I mean, I really liked Borussia Dortmund back in like 2013 when people didn't really know what to expect. Ajax is always fun to watch, especially in Europe. It's a shame how they lost against Spurs, but
well,
I'll admit that those semifinals were probably some of the best semifinal matches like I've seen in a long time. Though, just in pure drama. So I guess since we're coming close to this interview, I mean, my last questions are going to be: how have you enjoyed TikTok so far?
It's probably the best thing that's happened in this crazy year, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it because not only does it bring the community together, because it's so easy to see who's in the football community. I mean, there's you guys 90th Minute, there's Big Pav, Kevin, and then also everyone else that's included in that. It's so easily accessible that we can all be a community. But also how many people it reaches that aren't creators, like as a content consumer, it's just so easily available to like, oh, this guy makes good content. I'll follow him, and it constantly pops on your page. I absolutely love it.
No, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of drama and circulation with TikTok getting shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it doesn't. Hopefully, they find a way to kind of fix the app where it's usable. That's my hope. I think that might happen. I don't want to get too political, but I feel like TikTok's gonna look at us. Oh wait, we're gonna lose a lot of money if this happens. We gotta fix something, and there's gonna be a lot of politics and law involved. So yeah, hopefully everything gets resolved. We continue making content, but if TikTok gets shut down, where can people find you?
If they want to find me, I have an Instagram, Justin__Andre. I post a bunch of clips on there. I also have a YouTube channel, Justin Andre, simply on YouTube. I post a lot of Arsenal reviews now, simply because there's so many games going on. But I do post football in general once everything calms down a little bit.
Okay, perfect. Well, Justin, thank you for joining us today. Well, me, I guess everyone else is busy. We've admired your content for a while. I think as long as we've been on the platform, you've also been on the platform. So it's nice to finally do this. I'm trying to collab with every TikToker we can find. So why not? It's fun.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys bringing me on. I've been a big admirer of you guys too. I mean, the content you guys post is genius. I mean, you record the podcast, you post it, and it's just quality conversation. So I love your content as well.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, it means a lot because sometimes we'll get this typical comments that say, "Oh, you're Americans, but we're Canadian. You know nothing about football, this and that." I'm like, we try our best. We try to create a conversation around the beautiful game. That's the goal.
Exactly.
We're not trying to proclaim we know the most or we know this and that, right? So
right.
Yeah, it's always nice collabing with someone like you. And plus, we haven't had an Arsenal supporter on at all. So it's finally getting an Arsenal perspective. Everyone, sorry for my shits on Arsenal. It's like,
they do.
Let's bring on an Arsenal supporter. Let's have him vouch. And you don't necessarily crap on the team a lot. You actually give nice opinions, which I appreciate.
Right.
It's kind of like Pav. You're critical when you have to. Except Pav he'll dig into his team. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he rips into him.
Trust me, when we had him on, he had some hot takes, but he always had some good reasoning behind them.
Right.
And man said Modric deserved a Ballon d'Or. I'm like, what? But he put he put a good reasoning to it. So Justin, thank you once again for being on, and hopefully we can do this again. Perfect.
Absolutely, I'll be down.
Awesome. Thank you.